This is the Canon T7, and it has such good bang for the buck, it should be illegal. No, I'm serious. At this price point, it is such good bang for the buck, it's a felony. Just the Canon T7 as my first ever real camera. I found it on Facebook for $350. It came with the kit lens 18 to 55 millimeters. Not wanting to break the bank because I wasn't sure if owning a real camera was for me. After playing around with it, I found that I wanted more reach, and still not wanting to break the bank, I picked up an open box deal on the Canon 75 to 300 millimeter. I quickly learned and appreciated telephoto lenses. I did some okay shots. As I started to learn more about birds, I was able to get closer. After a while of constant bird photography, I found some limitations of the Canon T7. The first limitation that I found was the frames per second. The Canon T7 only has 3 frames per second. Now that may seem like plenty, but my 90D has 10. Higher end cameras, more flagship, will have upwards of 20. The new mirrorless cameras are having up to 30 per second. Now 3 frames per second is not bad compared to a smartphone, but now with the iPhone having live view photos, you can scrub through and choose your frames, so you're getting a lot faster per second. Now where the T7 shines is that these 3 frames per second are 24 megapixel. And the quality coming out of this sensor is higher at 3 frames per second than your live view photo is going to be. Unfortunately, another limitation is that it has a fixed screen. Now that's not a deal breaker for most people, but I'm using a flippy screen right now on my 90D to record myself.
Flippy screen abilities.
I can use the flippy screen to kind of angle it out, so if I want to shoot down low and hold this lower to the ground, I don't have to get down an army crawl.
Flippy screen abilities.
But with the T7, you do a little bit. There is no built-in time lapse with the Canon T7. Unfortunately, you're going to need an external intervalometer, which is a little device that you plug in and it's going to tell the camera to take a picture every so often. But with smartphones, my Canon 90D, and other mirrorless cameras, that's all built in. The low light on the Canon T7 isn't the best. This is what the low light picture is like compared to my iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, 1/4000th of a second. That sounds pretty quick. And it is. My Canon 90D gets up to 1/8000th of a second. And I have some hummingbirds around my house. And hummingbirds, at 1/4000th of a shutter, their wings are still a bit blurry. So you need super high shutter rate to really freeze the motion. And the T7 just doesn't have that. It will get you there. It will be a fantastic start, but it's a beginner camera. And I'll be honest, the build quality is great. I have unfortunately dropped this camera a couple of times, and it's fine. There are no effects. I've dropped it off of my tripod that was about 3 to 4 feet high, and it was fine. It didn't land on the lens was okay, which I've dropped the kit lens as well, and it's still fantastic. Now, the ergonomics of this camera are phenomenal. Everything can be done with my right hand. You have all of your options here. You have your mode selector. You have your on and off switch, your flash release, your shutter dial, everything is on the right side of the camera. It's a one-hand operation. Now, if you have a good smartphone, then this camera will be a good upgrade for wildlife. Your telephoto lenses on your smartphones aren't ever going to beat the reach that you have with telephoto lenses on a DSLR or mirrorless. It's very cheap. Like I said, I bought mine off Facebook Marketplace for $350. If you can find it used for a price near that, it's absolutely a steal. The battery life is phenomenal. I will go several days of shooting without needing to charge. Another plus is that the Canon T7 has access to all the EF and EFS lenses. I believe that having the full force of the EF and EFS lineup is a pro. You have years and years of iterations of lenses to pick up. And if you get them used, which is not really something you can do with the new RF lenses, you can get them for a good price. Overall, the EF and EFS lens mount is a pro. The final point is that the Canon T7 is a APS-C crop sensor, which means that it turns this 400 into a 600 millimeter reach. That is phenomenal for wildlife photography. And I think that there's no more beautiful place to test the Canon T7 than at the Lookout. So I have the Canon T7 with the 75 to 300 millimeters and the Canon 90D 100 to 400 USM Mark II. Both of these are set to 100 millimeters. And if we just they are both on the same shot and we can compare them. Our settings are currently 1/4000th of a second, aperture at 4.5, ISO is on auto, and then I'm going to throw the iPhone in as well just to show those three pictures all together. In conclusion, the Canon T7 is, in my opinion, one of the best beginner cameras that you can buy for the price if you can get it used.